Hello dear students, welcome back to Physics Online CET classes for class 11 and 12th standard students. Let us continue the chapter Mechanical Properties of Fluid. This is first year chapter and in the previous session we have studied the brief synopsis. Now directly we go for multiple choice questions of this chapter. The first question is, the most characteristic property of a liquid is. What is the most characteristic property of the liquid? And the options are elasticity, fluidity, formlessness, and volume conservation. So they have asked about property of the liquid. So this liquid is having volume conservation. That means volume of a liquid is conserved, that is constant compared to remaining options, because you can observe elasticity. Elasticity can be observed in solid as well as for liquid. Is a clear elastic property, but it is not completely related to liquid. That may be solid or liquid, there is some elastic property. Then come to the second one, fluidity. So fluidity is also shared to gases. It is not only related to liquid, because we know that fluid means the matter which flows. Here liquid as well as gas can flow. That's why the second option is related to both liquid and gases. Then come to the third property, third option, that is formlessness. So this formlessness and fluidity, option B and option C, these two also shared by gases and also some solids. Some solids are having elastic property. Liquid and gases both are having fluidity and formlessness property. Remaining is volume conservation. So for liquid, volume is conserved. This property is completely related to liquid. So we go for option D. And remember, volume conservation is not valid for gases, because when gas is filled in a container, that gas is free to move. It will occupy the complete container. So that's why volume conservation is the characteristic property of liquid. So we go for option D. Come to the second question. The pressure at the bottom of a tank containing a liquid does not depend on. So at the bottom of the tank, the pressure will be exerted. So the pressure exerted by a liquid at the bottom of the tank, that pressure depends on what factor? So pressure means generally we go for the equation. Before going to observe the options, you should know this equation, that is P equal to rho G H. Rho indicates density, G indicates acceleration due to gravity, and H indicates height. On these three factors, pressure depends. Right, come to the options now. Acceleration due to gravity, yes, it depends. Height of the liquid column, yes, it depends on height also. Then area of the bottom surface, no, it is not depending on area. Nature of the liquid, it depends on nature of liquid also, what type of liquid you are going to fill in a tank. So that's why it does not depends on area of the bottom surface. So we go for option C. C is the right answer. Third question, which of the following parameters decreases as we go up? They had given three parameters: density of the air, acceleration due to gravity, atmospheric pressure, all of these. They had given three factors, three parameters. As you are moving in the upward direction, which parameter decreases? Remember, the right option is density, because as you go up, density of air gone decreases, so the value of G gone increases. That's why if you want, you can go for the equation P equal to rho GH. So P increases as density increases. P decreases as density decreases. Similarly for G and H. But you can remember when you are very close to the earth surface, near the earth surface, there are large number of air molecules or water droplets or dust particles or molecules. So as number of particle gone increases, density also increases. It happened near the earth surface. As you are gone moving in upward direction, the number of particles in the atmosphere gone decreases. So when you are in the upward direction, density of the air gone decreases because particles are also gone decreasing. Then finally you are going to reach the vacuum or the space, free space where there is no particles. That's why when you are moving in upward direction, density of air gone decreases. When you are moving in a downward direction, density of air gone increases. So in these given options, so when you are moving up, as we go up, density of air decreases. So that's why we go for option A. Then come to the option B, acceleration due to gravity. So as you are going up, so here it depends on, you can observe this equation, pressure, density, acceleration due to gravity. These three parameters are directly proportional. Pressure changes, density also changes, acceleration due to gravity also changes. If pressure increases, rho and g also increases. If pressure decreases, rho and g also decreases. That indicates acceleration due to gravity, atmospheric pressure, all these parameters are directly proportional, so that as we go up, parameters are also, these given parameters are also decreasing. So the right option is all of these. We go for option D. Fourth question, pressure applied to enclosed fluid is. Pressure applied to enclosed fluid is. The first option, increased and applied to every part of the fluid. Pressure is diminished and transmitted to wall of the container. Option C, pressure increased in proportion to the mass of the fluid and then transmitted. Option D, pressure transmitted unchanged to every portion of the fluid and wall of the containing vessel. So which is the right option? Before that, you have to remember Pascal's law. What it states? According to Pascal's law, we know that pressure applied to enclosed fluid is always transmitted equally in all the direction. It is transmitted to each portion equally in all the direction as well as to the wall of the container. Right? So now the right option, we go for option D according to Pascal's law. Here you should remember Pascal's law is very important. According to Pascal's law, we know that this pressure is transmitted to each portion equally, means unchanged. Pressure is constant at each part of the container and also towards the wall of the containing vessel. So option D is the right answer. Then fifth question, if two bodies have equal upthrust, when just immersed in a liquid, both will have equal option mass, volume, area and shape. So here we can remember buoyant force. We know that according to buoyant force, the force exerted on two bodies, they are always equal when the buoyant force depends only on volume of the material immersed in and it is not depending on weight of the body. So when both the bodies must have equal volume, right? So when there is upthrust means it is buoyant force. When two bodies are immersed in a liquid, then it should have equal volume. So we go for option B, because this upthrust or buoyant force is not depending on the shape or mass or the area. So it depends on only volume of the material immersed in it. It is not depending on the weight of the body. So that's why we go for option B. Then sixth question, which are the two factors play the same role in case of fluids as force and mass play in case of solids? So they had given two factors which play the same role in case of fluids as force and mass play in solid. In solids, we know the relation between force and mass. For example, we can take F equal to ma. Mass is a measure of inertia. As mass increases, we required more force. More mass, more force. Less mass, less force. This relation we studied in solid. Likewise, in fluid, means in liquid and gases, which are the two factors play the same role, that we have to observe here. The first option, thrust and density. Second option, pressure and density. Third option, pressure and thrust. And fourth option, thrust and volume. So which are the two factors that play the same role likewise in solids? So here I am going to choose pressure and density, because you can observe P equal to rho GH. Pressure and density both are directly proportional, just like F equal to ma. These two are directly proportional in solids, and these two are directly proportional in fluids, means liquid as well as gases. So the best option is pressure and density. Seventh question, according to Archimedes' principle, a loss of weight of a body immersed in a liquid is equal to. First, we have to know what is the statement of Archimedes' principle. We know that according to Archimedes' principle, when a body is immersed in a liquid, it loses its weight, and that loss in the weight of the body is equal to weight of the liquid displaced by immersed part of a body. Is it clear? When we throw any body into the fluid or into the liquid, the same volume or the same part of or the same weight of the body, how much it is displaced, that much amount of water will be occupied. Means it is equal to that much amount of water or liquid. So here, loss of weight of a body immersed in a liquid is equal to weight of the liquid displaced. When you throw a body into the liquid, for example, I am going to take a stone. This stone I am going to throw into the liquid. So this part of the liquid will be displaced here. Is it clear? So that amount of weight of the body is equal to weight of the liquid displaced. So here weight of the liquid displaced, weight of the total liquid, weight of the body, none of these. So weight of the body immersed in a liquid, the same amount of liquid will be displaced according to Archimedes' principle. So we go for option A. Eighth question. Specific gravity of a body is numerically equal to. Options: weight of a body in air, weight of body in water, relative density of the body, density of body in water. Specific gravity of the body is numerically equal to. We already studied that specific gravity of a body means it is the ratio of weight of body in air divided by loss of body or loss of weight of body, loss of weight of body in water at 4 degrees Celsius. So this gives specific gravity of a body. What is specific gravity? It is the ratio of weight of body in air divided by loss of weight of body in water at 4 degrees Celsius. It can be written as weight of a body in air, means generally we can write the equation volume into density of the given body into acceleration due to gravity divided by again volume into density of water into acceleration due to gravity. So here V and G will get cancelled. So we can write density of a body divided by density of water. So this equation gives relative density of a body. We already know about relative density, that is the ratio of density of a given body with respect to density of water at 4 degree Celsius. So this relation gives relative density of the body. So specific gravity is numerically equal to relative density of the body. So we go for option C. Ninth question. Two vessels A and B of cross section as shown in the figure contain a liquid up to the same height. As the temperature rises, the liquid pressure at the bottom will. You can observe the picture here. They had given two vessels A and this is B of cross section of different cross section, and these two vessels contain a liquid up to the same height. As the temperature increases, when temperature rises, then the liquid pressure at the bottom will, because the bottom surfaces of both the vessel is not the same. Now here, as the temperature increases, remember density decreases and height increases. Remember this relation. As temperature increases, then density decreases. If density decreases, then height increases. This relation you should remember. Right? According to this relation, you can observe in the vessel A, the top cross-sectional area is smaller than vessel B. This top layer, top cross-sectional area, this is smaller than B. So we go for height of A is greater than height of B, because when temperature increases, height also increases. So we go for option A. As temperature increases, then here liquid pressure at the bottom surface of A is also increases. For B it is decreasing. So option A is the right answer. Then 10th question. From the figure, the correct observation is. Observe this given diagram. In the first diagram, the vessel contains water, but it is having a larger cross-sectional area. Vessel is greater than vessel B. First we go for the option. The pressure on the bottom of the tank A is greater than at the bottom of B. Then second option, the pressure on the bottom of the tank A is smaller than at the bottom B. Then third option, pressure depend on shape of the container. And fourth option, the pressure on the bottom of A and B is same. So which is the right option? You can observe the diagram. The first cross-sectional area is greater than B. The pressure on bottom A as well as at B is same. The pressure is the same in both the vessel. What is the reason? Here, pressure does not depend on shape of the container. It depends only on the depth from the surface. It depends only on the height. It is not depending on the shape of the container, because you can observe this equation P equal to rho G H. So here it depends only on the height or the depth of the container. Both are having same height. So it is not depending on the shape. So we go for option D. The pressure on the bottom of A and B is same. 11th question. A container partly filled in a liquid is suspended from a spring balance. A small body is gently dropped in the container. The pointer of the spring balance will. Yes, here a container is already partially filled in a liquid, partially filled with a liquid, and it is suspended from the spring balance. That container is suspended from the spring balance. Container contains partially filled liquid. Then a small body is gently dropped into the container. The pointer of the spring balance will. Here the pointer of the spring balance will read more. So why it reads more? Because you are going to drop a body into the small object into the container. So when you drop a small body into the container, the increased reading will be equal to upthrust given by Archimedes principle. Because we know that according to Archimedes principle, the upward buoyant force exerted on a body immersed in a fluid, whether fully or partially, it is equal to weight of the fluid that the body displaces. So this question is completely depending on Archimedes principle. So because buoyant force will be exerted when any body is immersed in a liquid, because we are going to drop a small body into the liquid, that indicates we are going to immerse a body into the liquid, whether the fluid is partially filled or completely filled. But when you drop any body into the liquid, it is equal to weight of the fluid that displaces. How much weight you are going to immerse, the same amount of liquid is displaced from it. So automatically it reads more. 12th question. A boat carrying steel ball is floating the surface of water in a tank. If the balls are thrown into the tank one by one, how will it affect the level of the water? So here a boat carrying steel balls, and this boat is floating on the surface of the water in the tank. If those balls are thrown into the tank one by one, how it is going to affect the level of the water? This is the question. So first we can consider the boat floating on the surface of the water in the tank. For floating boat, we can consider V1. Let us take volume V1 equal to, I am going to write, it is floating on the water. So mass of water, let us consider capital M, plus small m, mass of the steel ball, because that boat contains steel ball. Mass of water plus mass of steel ball divided by density of water, let us take rho W. Because we know that density means what? Mass per unit volume, right? So V equal to m divided by rho. This equation I am going to consider. It is floating on the water surface. So we consider mass of steel ball, mass of water divided by density of water. This is when boat is floating. Then come to the second point. When the steel ball starts to sink, boat is not sinking here. We are going to throw steel ball one by one into the water. So when we are going to throw steel ball, they start to sink. So we can take the volume V2 equal to. Here I am going to write mass of water divided by density of water plus mass of steel ball divided by density of steel ball, because initially steel ball they were in the boat, but now we are going to drop into the water, so we should consider density of the steel ball. Is it clear? So using this equation easily we can find the proper answer. So density of steel ball and density of water, which is greater? Density of a steel ball is greater than density of water. Which is greater here? Density of a steel ball is greater than density of water. So if rho s is greater, then automatically V2 will be greater than V1. This is V2 is during sinking of the steel ball. V1 is during floating of the boat on the water surface. V2 is greater than V1. So here when you are going to throw a ball one by one, then it will affect the level of the water. So how it is going to affect? See here, the level of the water gone decreases. That means level falls because V2 is greater than V1. So we go for option C. It will fall. 28th question. Streamline flow is more likely for liquids with options: high density and low viscosity, low density and high viscosity, high density and high viscosity. Last option, low density and low viscosity. Streamline flow is more likely for liquids with. What is streamline flow? We already know that streamline flow is the flow of fluid where at each point velocity is constant. So we can call it a streamline flow. Turbulent flow means having different velocity. So in this streamline flow, at every point velocity of liquid molecule is same. It is more likely for liquids with. They had given 4 options here. So we know that for streamline flow, Reynolds number should be less. So we already know the equation for Reynolds number, R equal to rho into V into D divided by eta. It is coefficient of viscosity, diameter, viscosity, then it is what? Density, right? So density of the fluid, eta indicates coefficient of viscosity and D is what? Diameter. So Reynolds number is almost, it is less than streamline flow, because you can observe Reynolds number is directly proportional to density. Reynolds number is inversely proportional to viscosity, means coefficient of viscosity. Hence, density of liquid is low and viscosity is high. Density is less, viscosity is greater. As Reynolds number decreases means density also decreases but viscosity increases. So the right option is B. The streamline flow more likely for liquid with low density and high viscosity. 29th question. Beyond the critical speed, the flow of a fluid becomes. So when it crosses the critical speed, the flow of a fluid becomes turbulent. Option B is the right answer, because we know that beyond critical speed, the flow of fluid becomes turbulent as the flow loses its steadiness. Velocity gone changes, its steadiness gone changes, so that it becomes turbulent. Directly we go for option B. 30th question. In a streamline, the velocity of the flow at any point in the liquid. If you know the definition, it is easy to answer. It is very easiest question. In a streamline flow, velocity at every point in the liquid is what? Same. We go for the options. First option, does not vary with the time. Yes, right. It may vary in a direction but not in magnitude. Wrong. It is same for magnitude as well as direction. May vary in magnitude but not in a direction. No, it is also wrong. May vary both in magnitude and direction. Remember, for streamline flow, velocity at each point does not change with the time. That may be magnitude or direction. Both are constant. So option A is the right answer. 31st question. For flow of fluid to be turbulent. If you want to make the fluid as turbulent, which option we have to follow? First one, fluid should have high density, fluid should have velocity should be large, Reynolds number should be less than 2000, both A and B. So for the fluid to be turbulent, which is the right option? So first we go for Reynolds number. We know that Reynolds number for turbulent is always more than 3000. If you remember this equation, N equal to V rho R divided by eta, or you can write both are same here. Reynolds number, sometimes you can write capital N or capital R, don't get confused, both are same. Or you can use these two equations are same. Is it clear? And here Reynolds number is directly proportional to V as well as rho, right? So observe this equation. And also Reynolds number for turbulent flow is always more than 3000. Reynolds number, it is just a pure number, it is not having any unit. If the number is more than 3000, then we can say that it is turbulent. Now go for the options. Option C, Reynolds number should be less than 2000. No, it is wrong. Come to A and B option. Fluid should have high density. Velocity should be larger. Yes, it is right. Density should be high. Velocity should be greater because it is directly proportional. So we go for option D. Both A and B are the right answers. 32. Bernoulli's equation is important in the field of. So Bernoulli's equation you have studied in this chapter, that is mechanical properties of a fluid. It is related to liquid and gases. Which is the right option? The first one, electrical circuit. No, it is not related to electrical circuit. Wrong option. Magnetism is also wrong. Flow of a fluid, yes, it is right. Photoelectric effect, this is wrong. So Bernoulli's equation, Bernoulli's principle, we studied in mechanical properties of a fluid, means it is related to liquid and gases. So option C is the right answer. Then 33 question. In Bernoulli's theorem, which of the following is conserved? Which option is constant in Bernoulli's principle? First one, mass. Second option, linear momentum. Third option, energy. And fourth option, angular momentum. Which option or which of the following is conserved here? First we have to know Bernoulli's theorem. What it states? The total energy per unit mass of the fluid at any point in the substance is sum of kinetic energy, potential energy and fluid pressure energy, which is equal to constant value. This is Bernoulli's theorem. The total energy per unit volume remains constant. So energy here we considered kinetic energy, potential energy and pressure energy. So these three energy remains constant. So that's why we go for option C. So which of the following factor is conserved here? Energy is conserved because according to Bernoulli's theorem, the total energy per unit mass remains constant. Option C is right answer. Horizontal tube of non-uniform cross-section has a radii of 0.1 meter and 0.05 millimeter respectively at M and N for a streamlined flow of liquid. The rate of liquid fluid flow is. You already studied equation of continuity. You can observe the same diagram, the same picture. You have studied in theoretical part equation of continuity. Here they had given horizontal tube. This tube is having a radius 0.1 meter one side and at the another side 0.05 meter. At m 0.1 meter, at n 0.05 meter. This is radius. And in this tube, the flow of liquid is streamline, means velocity at every point is the same. The rate of liquid flow is, the options are continuously change with the time, greater at m than n, greater at n than m, same at m and n. So which is the right option? So here at m and at n it is always the same. The rate of liquid flow is the same because it is based on the principle of continuity. For a streamlined flow of fluid through this tube, this may be of non-uniform cross-sectional area, but the rate of flow of fluid at m and n it is the same at every point in the liquid because we know the equation A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. The rate of flow of fluid is the same at m and n. So we go for option D. It is completely based on principle of continuity that you have studied in theoretical part. Then 44th question, which are based on viscosity and terminal velocity. First question, when temperature increases, viscosity of, options, gases decreases, liquid increases. Second one, gases increases, liquid decreases. Third one, gases and liquids increases. Fourth one, gases and liquids decreases. As the temperature increases, what happens to the viscosity of a given fluid? Viscosity is, it is basically measures the fluid's resistance. How much the fluid can oppose to flow. Viscosity, viscous means resistance. It is a measure of fluid's resistance to the flow. And also it describes internal friction of a moving fluid. Generally for solid we considered frictional force, it is opposing force. Likewise in fluid, means in liquids and gases, we are using the term viscosity. Viscosity is similar to friction, means opposing force. It opposes flow of the fluid, that may be liquid or gases. Right? So as temperature increases, so here opposition for the gas also increases, but for the liquid it decreases. For gases, viscosity increases, means opposition increases for gases. As the temperature increases, opposition decreases for liquid. So right option is B. Gases increases, liquids decreases, means their opposition to the flow. Option B is the right answer. 45. After terminal velocity is reached, acceleration of a body falling through a fluid is. After terminal velocity, acceleration of a body falling through a fluid is. Options, it is equal to g or it is equal to 0. It is less than g, it is greater than g. So when terminal velocity is reached, then the body is always moving with constant velocity. Remember, when it reaches terminal velocity, it is always moving with constant velocity. When velocity is constant, then what about acceleration? What is acceleration? A rate of change of velocity. But velocity is not changing here. That's why acceleration is 0 when it crosses or when it reaches terminal velocity. So acceleration of a body is 0. Option B is the right answer. 46th question. Spherical balls of radius r are falling in a viscous fluid of viscosity eta with velocity v. The retarding viscous force acting on the spherical ball is spherical ball, the radius is given, viscosity, velocity is given. We have to write the retarding means deceleration viscous force, how it is acting on the spherical ball. Remember, it is completely based on Stokes law. From the Stokes law, we have this equation F equal to 6 pi eta r into V. This is about Stokes law. And you can remember the statement, the force that retards a sphere moving through the viscous liquid is directly proportional to velocity of the sphere, radius of the sphere and viscosity of the fluid. You can observe this equation. The force that retards a sphere means this retarding force is directly proportional to three factors: viscosity, velocity and radius of the given spherical ball. So F equal to 6 pi eta RV. F is directly proportional to radius as well as it is directly proportional to velocity. So which is the right option? So this retarding viscous force is directly proportional to radius r and velocity v. So we go for option B. Option B is the right answer. 47th question. Fevicol is added to paint to be painted on the walls because Fevicol and paint both are different molecules, different objects, or we can say that these are unlike substances. Unlike substances are going to attract. Fevicol is added to the paint. Paint and Fevicol are unlike substances, but they are going to attract each other because we already studied about cohesive force and adhesive force, remember. So adhesive force, it increases adhesive force between paint and the wall, because we know that there is always attractive force between unlike substances. Unlike substances means which are sticking together. This paint is sticking to the wall. These are unlike substances. They are going to stick or they are going to attract each other. This is what adhesive force. So it increases adhesive force between paint and wall. Is it clear? So option A is the right answer. We already studied adhesive force is between two different substances. Cohesive force is between two same substances. Here paint and wall both are unlike substances. They are going to attract each other. There is adhesive force is increasing when you are gone adding Fevicol to the paint. So option A is the right answer. Next question. The terminal velocity of a small sphere of radius A in a viscous liquid is proportional to. The terminal velocity in a viscous medium, generally it is given by the equation terminal velocity Vt is equal to, the formula is 2a square sigma minus rho into g divided by 9 into eta. This is the equation for terminal velocity. What is the relation between radius and terminal velocity? Directly proportional. Terminal velocity is directly proportional to a square. Which is the right option? Option A. The viscous of the liquid is proportional to a square. 49th question. A small ball falling under gravity in a viscous medium experiences a drag force proportional to instantaneous speed u such that F dragging force is equal to k into u. Then terminal speed of the ball within viscous medium is. Yes, we know the equation for terminal velocity. The weight should be balanced by upthrust or upward force, that you should remember. So we go for this equation, weight W equal to mg. This is what weight of a body, and this weight of the body is always balanced by this buoyant force or upward force, right, or thrust. So here we have the excluded buoyant force. We can consider weight of the body is equal to what? Buoyant force F is equal to mg. So this F is what? Dragging force here. This dragging force is given by what? The equation here it is given in the question. K into U is equal to mg. Right? Therefore, we can write the equation as U equal to mg divided by K. Terminal speed of the ball U is equal to mg divided by K means option B is the right answer. Next question. The terminal velocity depends on, again we can go for the equation, Vt is equal to 2, we can write a square sigma minus rho into g divided by 9 into eta. So here remember A indicates radius. How it depends? Vt is directly proportional to a square or Vt is directly proportional to r square. So directly proportional to r square means option D is the right answer. Next question depends on surface tension, surface energy, angle of contact and capillarity. 56th question, surface tension of a liquid is due to. Surface tension of a liquid is always due to force of attraction between like molecules of a liquid. Means that is adhesive force between the molecule that gives surface tension. There is always a force of attraction between like molecules that gives surface tension. So here the right option is D because like molecules of the liquid, like molecules means the same substance, same molecules, that is called cohesive force between the molecule. This is the definition of surface tension. We go for option D. D is the right answer. At critical temperature, the surface tension of a liquid is. The surface tension of a liquid at critical temperature is 0. Why it is 0? Because the intermolecular force between the particles becomes 0. Remember, at last limit, at the last point of the temperature or at critical temperature, the intermolecular force means cohesive force between the substances or cohesive force between the molecule go on decreases. There is no internal force between the molecules. When there is no internal force, then the surface tension will be 0. So option A is the right answer. If a soap bubble formed at the end of the tube is blown very slowly, then the graph between excess pressure inside and bubble with time will be. We know that, you should remember this equation, P is inversely proportional to radius. As R increases with time, P decreases. As P increases, R decreases. Based on this concept, so we can plot the graph like this. As pressure increases, radius decreases, or as radius increases, pressure decreases. So this is parabolic curve and we go for option C and D. Parabolic curve, sloping down, sloping up. So here it is sloping down. As pressure increases, radius go on decreases. Option C is the right answer. 59th question, if two soap bubbles of different radii are in communication with each other, then here you should remember excess of pressure in a soap bubble is given by, excess of pressure in soap bubble is given by P equal to 4T divided by R, or P is inversely proportional to radius. Pressure in a small bubble is more than bigger bubble. So when the bubble is gone increasing, as radius gone increases, pressure decreases according to this equation. P is inversely proportional to radius. Pressure in a small bubble is more than pressure in a bigger bubble. When two bubbles of different radii are in communication, then what happens? The air flows from higher pressure to lower pressure. The air is always flowing from where to where? Higher pressure to lower pressure. Higher pressure means smaller radius. That's why it is moving from smaller bubble to larger bubble. So from smaller bubble into the larger one, they are going to communicate. So which is the right option? Option C. Air flows from smaller bubble into larger one, and larger one grows at the expense of smaller one. So that's why option C is the right answer. Next question. When a pinch of salt or any other salt which is soluble in water is added to water, its surface tension. When highly soluble salt, for example, we can consider sodium chloride. When I consider sodium chloride, it is dissolved into the water. When it is dissolved into the water, the surface tension of the water increases because there is a cohesive force between the molecules. As salt or the sodium chloride is added into the water, it dissolves so that the internal force between the molecule increases, cohesive force increases, so surface tension also increases. Option A is the right answer.